Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Malcolm V8. Today's episode is all about flushing the cooling system. We're going to use our Project Redfire here. The coolant in it is nasty and it looks like rust. It's going to make a great example. We're going to use a chemical cleaner to scrub the system out. We're going to flush it with distilled water, and finally we're going to get some clean coolant in there. And as a bonus, we're going to throw in a new radiator and a much more powerful, improved cooling pump, but more about that later. Let's get to the flushing. Okay, with the car completely cool to the touch so you don't burn yourself, and there'll be no pressure in here so when you open this up it doesn't spray everywhere, we're going to need to get our cooling system cleaner inside of here. This chemical will go ahead and scrub out all the rust and the scale off of the metal and all the gunk, loosen it up so we can get that drained out. Problem is, your cooling system is going to be completely full, so you can't add this in here or it's just going to overflow. So first thing we're going to do is disconnect a hose at the bottom and drain coolant out of the system. That'll create some space so we can pour this in and then top back up with coolant. Okay, with our coolant drained out of the system, we can now go ahead and add our cooling system cleaner into here. You could just pour it in. I'm going to use this vacuum tool over here. And the reason is, it's going to go ahead and pull all the air out of the cooling system, create a deep vacuum in there, and I'm going to charge or fill my coolant into a vacuum. Wonderful idea. It gets rid of all the air pockets and you don't have to burp the system and try and work the air out of it, dealing with potential overheating and all of going through heat cycles, heating and cooling, trying to get the air out of the system. Highly recommend that method. If you want to learn more about it, I have a whole video on it. I'll link it down below. It shows you how it works, how to use it, all that good stuff. So for now, let's go ahead and suck this into the vacuum. Now topping up with coolant. Now with that cooling system cleaner in the system, I'm going to go ahead and start up the car, bring it up to operating temperature. I'm actually going to drive it around for several days and go through many heat cycles to really clean the system out as best as possible before we get into the next stage of flushing. So let's do that. Alright, it's several days later. We've been through multiple heat cycles driving this car. Now granted, there were a lot shorter drives than I wanted because the car tends to overheat rather rapidly, so we couldn't get a whole lot of driving in. We made the best of it, got as much drives in as we could. It's also worth pointing out, you're usually told to have your heat turned on when doing these driving flushes to get the coolant through the heater core under the dash. Now that does vary by vehicle. For example, this car is very simplistic and the coolant is always flowing under the dash through the heater core, regardless of where you have the temperature dials. When you turn the heat on, a flapper just moves under the dash to direct the heat. Some cars actually have a valve in the coolant line that closes off the coolant from flowing under the dash through the heater core when you're not using heat, and that's why it's always recommended to turn the heat on just in case you have that valve. These Mustangs, super simple, don't have it. Alright, so let's get to the next stage of flushing. We're going to go ahead and drain all this coolant out. Oh man, look at that. That was fresh, clean, clear coolant I'd put in there. Just turns into rust in there. So hopefully now with that cleaner, we're on a better track. Now to try and get additional coolant out of this radiator that's just sitting there, I'm going to go ahead and remove this upper hose. Hey man, let me get you the garden hose. No. Ah! Absolutely no tap water, garden hose water, none of that in there. Remember, tap water has minerals and salts and things inside of it that is exactly what you don't want in your cooling system. That's where all this gunk and junk can come from. Distilled water only. Get yourself distilled water. It's well worth it. That's all you should put in there. So how are we going to get the extra coolant out of this radiator? One nifty trick is to grab your shop vac. Pull the hose out of here where it normally sucks and put it on the exhaust side so you're getting the air blowing out. Go ahead and remove that. Now take that and stick it on the radiator and it's going to blast air through there, and you'll be surprised how much coolant it pushes out when you do that. Remember to properly dispose of this stuff. Take it to an approved recycling center and get rid of it the correct way. This is extremely toxic to the environment, animals, pets, cats, dogs, etc. So you don't want to just dump this stuff or leave it laying around. And of course humans too. You definitely don't want to be drinking this stuff. Okay, we got our distilled water here. I dumped all the jugs in a bucket so we can easily charge it up into the car here. And now I would have preferred to have left the thermostat out. This is an extra one. I couldn't, however, because the O-ring that seals was deforming and leaking without the thermostat in there. I would have preferred not to have it so that we could do a quick cycle, run the engine, mix everything up and flush it right out. Unfortunately, I'm gonna have to go through a full heat cycle so that the thermostat opens, circulates everywhere, then I have to let the car cool and then flush it out. So it just makes it take a little bit longer. But if your car's this way, you'll have to also take longer. If your thermostat housing can seal shut without the thermostat in there, you can flush a lot quicker. Okay, we did a drive cycle on the distilled water. It's now the next day, it's cooled down. Let's go ahead and drain it and see what we're dealing with. Okay, getting better. Yeah, obviously there was still some coolant in there we're trying to get out. I mean, you can tell it's diluted, but it needs another round for sure. All right, by this stage, I'm wanting the flushing to go a little quicker and not go through all these heat cycles. So I took an old thermostat and I just hollowed it out. That gives me the framework, just throw in with the O-ring, and that should seal it up. I probably could have gone and bought a brand new O-ring that hadn't been flattened from heat cycles, and that may have sealed on its own, but this was real quick and easy. So that's what we're gonna put back in instead of the full thermostat, and just do some quick startup flushes just to get as much cycled and out as quick as possible. Next round of water going in. Pretty cool. You see how these hoses are all sucked flat from the vacuum. You'll see how they just expand out as it fills back up with water in there. All right, now I'm going to fire it up, just run it for a few minutes, and then flush it right out. Gets better every time. Still got some more flushing to do. Oh, you can tell we're getting close. It's almost clear. Not quite there yet. Okay, very nice. Getting down to clear liquid now. At this point, I think it's safe to go ahead and pull this apart. I'm going to get the radiator out, the water pump out, and we're going to go ahead and get those swapped out. Well, this is as far as I got. Most everything out here, the fan and a lot of stuff. The radiator's completely disconnected, but it's stuck. There's a little bit of overlap here. Fortunately, it's hitting this tank. You may remember from previous videos, this tank is always in the way. Everything, power steering sensors, anything you want to do in this area. It's unfortunately just a very poor design. So I'm gonna go ahead and loosen all of its connections and see if I can, wedge it a little bit and get the clearance I need. If not, we're gonna have to drain everything, pull it out. We'll take care of this another time. It's got to go, but for now, we're going to deal with it. Well, unfortunately, no such luck, just loosening things up. We had to pull the whole thing out. Probably for the better, because we're going to have to get this pulley bridge and stuff out of here anyway to get to the water pump. So it's out, and we're going to resume. Okay, we got everything tore out here. We got the water pump out. See, these are powder coated. Never really noticed before with all this stuff jammed in here, but timing cover's powder coated. So is the pulley bridge actually. And we got our old radiator out. You can see it looks pretty beat up. It's had a hard life. We have a replacement that is not brand new, but it is pretty good. I've looked through it. Not that you can see inside the actual areas here, but it looks to be in good shape. So we're gonna go ahead and get that radiator swapped in. And then water pumps. I mentioned this in the beginning of the video. So this is the stock 03 Cobra one. It looks just similar to a GT style pump, except they added this ring on here to try and cut back cavitation, from what I've learned reading online. I don't know how accurate that is, but it is different. This is the Cobra version. The GT version doesn't have that ring. What we're swapping to is this EMP pump here, the Stewart EMP pump. And look at that, what a huge difference. These create a lot of pressure at high RPMs, a lot of flow, and do not cavitate like that. And we don't just have to take EMP's word for that. I have tested this on the zinc over there. I swapped to one of these EMPs, and I actually deleted this bypass over here on the zinc. and my upper radiator hose under high RPM, like 6,000 plus, would build up so much pressure it would blow this hose clean off. It was crazy. That was after I switched to the EMP pump. So I had to go ahead and build in. It actually has a bypass in it. It's just hidden. It comes off the upper here because I have the thermostat in the upper radiator hose. It goes down and around and under, and it's completely trick. If you look at the engine bay and the zinc, it's just clean. You don't see any of this. But the bypass was important. I put it back. And so I know firsthand these pumps really do flow well. So I'm going to go ahead and upgrade to this so we can get some really good flow, especially at high RPM. And then we're going to throw this thing back together. With all that flushing done and completed, everything back together, we got a new radiator, water pump in there. The last thing to do is put a thermostat back in it. We're going to get rid of this hollowed out plate we were using for flushing, and we're going to put a real thermostat with a new O-ring back in there. We have got a vacuum pulled, and we're ready for our final charge into the system. We got a distilled water and coolant mix in here. Normally I do 2 parts water, 1 part coolant here in Florida because it's really warm climate. However, this car is destined for a cold climate ultimately, so I've done a 50-50 mix. And why not? Let's get a cup of that for our comparison tree. We'll show you here in a bit. And then let's go ahead and get this charged up in here. All done. And here's our flushes. This is kind of interesting to see. This is the murky rust water we started out with. And as we flushed, you can see it got better and better and better all the way down to the end. And then finally the clear, translucent looking coolant that went into it. So nice process, and you know, hopefully we got some results. I'm really hoping that new radiator and pump give me the performance I'm looking for. So nothing left here but to take the sucker out for a test drive and see how it does. All right, well there we have it, guys. There's an awesome how-to. Get your Terminator system flushed, get fresh coolant in there. We even threw in a radiator and a water pump. So this car is in great shape. And if you've been following this car on social media, you know I've been having a lot of overheating problems with it, and you're probably wondering, did that flush radiator and pump cure the overheating issues? And the answer is, sort of. So this car would overheat no matter what I did. Driving down the highway, back roads, sitting in the driveway idling, anything, it would just randomly overheat. Since doing the flush and the radiator and pump, cruising along at speed like 50, 60 mile an hour seems to work perfect. I haven't had any instances of it overheating there yet. However, in stop and go or slower traffic or even just stopped in the driveway, I still have it randomly overheating. And I haven't pinpointed the issue just yet. I've been doing some off-camera diagnostics and digging through, and I'm thinking I'm getting it nailed down. I have a pretty good idea what it is. If you guys think you have some ideas or you know what it might be, go ahead and drop a comment down below. I'd be curious to what you hear. Once I have this 100%, I'm going to make a follow-up video with what was the absolute fix, and well, multiple fixes really. There's been several issues. And we'll do a summary of what it took to cure this overheating issue. So there you go, guys. Hope you enjoyed. Till next time, take care. See you later.